Hey y'all, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel with another movie review from this past weekend. And of course I am talking about the latest from A24, being the drama written and directed by Kristoffer Borgli, starring Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Alana Haim, Mamadou Athie, and Haley Gates. And this follows a couple, Emma and Charlie, who are about to get married. And one night before the wedding is about to take place, they get together and, let's say, reveal some dark secrets about one another. And when it comes to Emma, them reckoning with what she reveals is ultimately the crux of this entire film, which I don't dare spoil. Well, actually, you know what? I think Dan Merle did this, and I thought that this was a really great idea. I think I'm just going to keep the first part of this video spoiler-free and then talk about the twist later on. Well, not the twist, but what this entire movie sort of hinges on, that reveal, because I think it really is a make it or break it moment for a lot of people. And I also think that there's going to be some divisive discourse around it, with people who like the movie falling on different ends of how they felt about that said reveal. And I think in that regard, Kristoffer Borgli definitely follows up Dream Scenario, which I thought was one of the funniest movies I've seen in the past few years, but also one of the most thought-provoking indie films in recent memory, with this film that I think, maybe for me, I didn't know if I quite enjoyed it as much, at least on initial viewing, but I think he doubles down on what made Dream Scenario great and just continuously builds to what really is one of the most uncomfortable viewing experiences in third acts that I have ever seen, definitely in recent memory, but I mean that as the highest of compliments, because he really takes cringe to a whole other level, and just the awkwardness in the way that he creates these dynamics and conversations, what they build to, the unease that comes from them, the way that he'll go in on an actor's face and then cut to like something completely different just to accentuate that awkwardness so perfectly. I really do think that it is a masterclass in editing and also directing to an extent, even though it's a more low-key indie drama. His style is in full force here, and I really think that this is one of the most visually distinctive films of the year, and also just from a script standpoint as well, because there truly aren't many directors able to find laughs in the darkest of moments and just completely blindside you with something that you weren't expecting at all, or expecting to react to in a humorous way. I really do think that is the biggest strength of the drama, and all the moving pieces throughout the narrative are being set up only to build up to, like I said, that final third act in a way that is so cringe-inducing. I was literally recoiling back in my seat, and it is just so entertaining to watch, to see how it's like a train wreck you can't look away from, right? And so I think that definitely is the biggest strength of this film, as well as the performances. This might be the most stacked ensemble cast of the year, and you really get some career best work from a lot of people here. I thought Mamadou Athie was really good, probably the best I've seen him in anything, still warming up to him, but I really do think he had a naturalism about his performance that was really welcome, and I appreciated his role in the film. Alana Haim continues to impress, and I'm surprised she's only been in 3 movies or so since Licorice Pizza, all with pretty substantial directors, and I just want to keep seeing her and stuff, because she has such a commanding presence on screen and just feels like she's been doing this forever, and I really do think that this is one of her best performances. Haley Gates really impressed me. I thought she was really great in the scenes that she had in the film, and definitely plays a more low-key but pivotal role later on. And of course, I have to talk about the 2 stars of this film, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, who are both absolutely on fire in this, I guess literally and figuratively, because they're both really hot. But oh my goodness, I really do think that this is some of the best work that they've ever done. Especially Pattinson. I think that this might be Pattinson's best performance, because the level of emotional depth he has to access in this film, and also the perfect comedic timing that his role requires. His reactions are literally everything. Even the way he reacts you see the mannerisms on his face kind of like twitching out. It really is such an impressive performance from Pattinson, and he continues to prove why he is one of the best actors of his generation. But Zendaya is no slouch either. I'd put this right up there with Challengers as the best work of her career. She continues to get better and better every single year, and I think that their dynamic in the film is really the crux of this entire movie, and how the seeds of distrust kind of form after this revelation is made. And I think that's the most thought-provoking aspect of this film. How can you look at a person who you have known for so many years, find out this incredibly shocking revelation? How do you navigate that? Do you reevaluate the trust you have for them and who you thought them to be? Or should their past define the relationship that they have together today? I really do think that this is something that I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, being in relationships and finding out something that they never would have thought would come out of their partner's mouth. And just the way that the comedy of the film plays into that ever-growing unease and awkwardness after this is found out is really, really wonderful to see, and feels like a very natural progression to the story. Now, I do feel like, and maybe this is the first time watch, maybe it felt a little bit slow in the middle. It kind of spun its wheels a little bit. It was kind of hitting the same beats over and over again, but it did build in a very monumental way, I think, by the end, like I've said, probably 3 times now in this review. I also feel the way that they kind of implement flashbacks, I think it works for the most part, but there are a couple moments where it is a little distracting, and I might get into that in the back half of this review, as well as the fact that there are a couple moments that they cut up in a non-linear way, which, like I said, the editing in this movie is absolutely sensational. Some of the most motivated, ingenious cuts of the entire year, maybe the best edited film of the year, in fact. And so, even though as impressed as I was by that, there were a couple moments where I felt like breaking up a certain scene kind of broke the tension of it, and I would have just rather seen it play out in linear fashion. But really, this movie gives you a lot to think about. I know some people are going to say it's shock value for shock value's sake, but I do think in its construction, in the way it explores its ideas, it is overall extremely effective, with an ending that is going to leave me thinking about it for a while. It's one of those endings where you definitely walk away thinking about the implications of what is to come, what will happen to this situation and everyone involved. And I really do think that that is probably the biggest strength of this film. I think that this is one of the most essential cinematic experiences so far this year, and just for the cast alone, especially its 2 leads, this is an absolute must-watch. Just be warned, you might not be that comfortable watching it, but I think for me and a lot of others, that is probably for the best. So I'm going to give the drama an 8.5 out of 10. Really, really loved this film. Could go up on rewatch, but there's a lot of things that I still have to think about and articulate with this film, which I will get into this very moment. So click off this video if you don't want to be spoiled for the drama. But the big reveal in the movie is that when she was 15 years old, Emma almost shot up her school and planned a school shooting, which, when I found that out, I could have not have guessed it. I knew that there was some big revelation, the worst thing you've ever done. I heard about it, and even then I could not have guessed that that's what it was going to be. And just the way that people react to her, especially Alana Haim's character, who's her maid of honor, talking about, oh, my cousin was, evicted, and she's paralyzed because of a school shooting. And just to see how that kind of unravels. I know a lot of people say what she did was much worse, which I guess because she did it, sure, but like, yet again, how does one think to, perpetuate a mass killing of innocent people? Like, that is just absolutely insane. And I don't mean to make light of mental health, of course, but it really is something that I think this movie touches on very well, because it's such a depraved thing to do, and we see this happen over and over and over again in this country, unfortunately. So I really do think that the way the film handles it was quite effective, but I do feel like they also could have dived in a bit deeper as to the reasons why she felt that way. I don't think that the movie substantiated enough of a reason to do that. But then again, maybe it didn't need to. So that's why I'm like, it's not a huge deal to me. But also the way they implement the externalization of internal thought. And I think maybe primarily from Zendaya's Emma. But also I think you see it from Charlie's perspective too. And there's one scene where he's like hugging the 15-year-old version of Emma. And knowing what we know about this director, I think that was kind of off-putting to me, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to take away from this. And it just kind of gave me the ick factor. So yet again, you try to remove the personal from the actual art itself, but it was kind of hard to in that moment. But even then, I do think that it is still effective. But yet again, like, I really feel that by the end of this film, I do think that it really leaves you wondering if she is, you know, a psychotic person, or if she actually has gained some empathy. And I love that the movie leaves it open-ended in that final scene in the diner, which really is just going to stay with me. I kind of think that they aren't able to work out their differences, or because they kind of, you know, come back to an earlier moment where they're kind of role-playing. It's like, oh, let's meet for the first time, and they kind of end that conversation on, it was nice to meet you. And part of me just thinks that maybe that's it for them after that disastrous wedding ceremony and reception that I don't think can ever be topped in any movie. Yet again, it's interesting to see how this one act that wasn't perpetuated sends Pattinson's character, Charlie, into a downward spiral. And yet again, I don't think he does anything as bad as what she was about to do, but it does bring up an interesting point about morality and how it is approached. And yet again, it's like, do you really want these people to work out their differences? I think maybe that's why I think the ending of that film is so powerful. But that's the thing. If you think that they end up together and the toxic cycle continues, then I think that's just as valid of a conclusion. And so really, to me, that ending is going to stick with me in a way that most endings won't for this entire year. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the drama down in the comments below. Did you agree with me on the ending, or did you have a different approach to it? Did you hate the movie? I know some people did. Would love to hear all that and more. And please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more movie reviews like this one. Really appreciate the support as always. And definitely, like I said, going to try to get to some movies this week. I'm seeing a lot in NYC. A lot of classic films, so I probably won't review those. But I definitely will try to get at least 1 or 2 reviews out to you if I really am feeling quite passionate about the movies I end up seeing. So thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one.